Lovely. So, guys, let's begin with some PQ reps to access our sage brain and to calm down any anxiety or any stress that we've been experiencing today, or for the last few hours, or for the last week. Who knows? Please, could you close your eyes? I'd like to invite you to turn your videos off if you need to, if you feel more comfortable. And start by taking a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth with a. We're going to breathe strongly out of our mouth as we do when we feel we've overcome something. We say, phew, and it just releases that stress. So in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just a few times. And then let your breath return back to its natural, relaxed rhythm. Making sure that your spine is straight and relaxed. Your head is straight and relaxed, and your shoulders are relaxed and drop down away from your ears. And maybe tipping your pelvis forward a little bit so you have a nice straight spine. And we're going to start with some tactile PQ reps. So taking both fingertips very gently, pitter-pattering your fingertips over your face. So starting with your cheeks, just a very gentle pitter-patter of your fingertips. Noticing those sensations of touch under the eyes, listening to the sound of your fingers tapping on your face. Really just tapping wherever you feel you want to go. Could be on your forehead, could be around your eyes, and just releasing any tension that is built up in your face. Letting any thoughts go that come to your mind. And bringing your attention back to noticing the sensations of your fingertips tapping on your face. Notice how the tapping gets louder as you tap around your ears. Maybe bring down to your neck if you want to. And then with a nice deep breath, resting your hands in your lap and starting to notice the thoughts that are coming into your head and labeling them with one word. So, for example, it might be a sense, it might be a sound that you can hear, it might be a smell that you can smell, it might be a thought that you're thinking. So, labeling just with one word where your mind is going, and then bringing your attention back to your breathing. So, for example, now I can hear an aeroplane, so I would label it aeroplane and then bring my attention back to my breath. And there's no need to be complex about the word you choose. Just one word is enough, and bringing your attention back to your breath. It may be aeroplane, breath. Maybe back itching, breath, etc. Just going to pop everybody on mute quickly. So bringing your attention back to your breath every time your mind wanders off, labeling what your mind has wandered to, and then focusing back on your breathing. And starting to notice the very gentle rise of your chest and stomach as you're breathing in and out. Noticing how much easier it's becoming to bring your attention back to your breath once you get the hang of labeling these thoughts, letting them go, and building that self-command muscle. Any bodily sensations, just label them and bring your attention back to your breathing. And then noticing the weight of your body on your chair, wherever you're sitting, dropping your weight into the chair or whatever you're sitting on. Bringing your attention back to your breath once more. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. Thank you, guys. Did you notice that it got easier as you brought your attention back to your breath and labeled what you were thinking of, where the attention was going? Did anyone have any experience of that to share? How it was for you? Oh, can you take yourself off mute, Sharon? I muted everyone. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. I was feeling a little tiny bit anxious because I've got a little bit of a cough. So I was trying to concentrate on kind of keeping it quiet, and I was having thoughts coming of things that I have to do during the week because I've got a very full week all of a sudden. And then I kept bringing it back to my breath, which was really good. And it did get easier, so I could just concentrate completely on my breath.
Brilliant. Thank you. Because it's usually it's breath,
Yeah,
something that, oh yeah, breath. And
yeah,
then the times that we're something we're wandering off become less once the mind gets the gist of what we're trying to do with it, is to train it to come back. And that's how we build muscles. And actually, when we're out and about in the world, if we feel stressed at any point, we can use all of these things that we're learning here anytime. So, you can be walking down the street and noticing you're feeling a bit stressed, you're in the external world, noticing what's going on, paying attention to this, that, and that, getting a bit scattered. And what we want to do is we want to have a full command of our inner world, because our inner world is where we've got the power, isn't it? So if we can keep bringing our mind back to our breath, back to our inner world, it stops mattering what's
yeah,
happening outside of us. We're often reacting and getting into a state about what's happening. Even if we're interested in something that's happening outside of us, it can still take us away
yeah.
from our focus, and because this session is all about change, we're going to be talking about focus a lot. Um, so I'm going to go straight into the little slide presentation here, which should be here somewhere. Let's have a look. Here we go. There we are. So, can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so Mental Fitness Sunday, time for change. So, we've got this idea of something in our lives that we really want to change, and we've done our PQ rep. So, we've woken up our sage brain, we've deactivated our amygdala, our limbic system, our survival brain, and we're in a better space now to take in some information. We remember, just a little reminder, that the judge is always judging ourselves, always judging other people, always judging the circumstances. And I've got a new one of what we might be judging. So, would somebody like to read? Guy, could you read number one? Just read it, please, out loud, if you can see it all.
Self. I'm too late, broken, unlucky, adventurous, stuck, and shy.
Thank you. Unadventurous. Yeah, you said adventurous. Maybe the adventurer in you is so strong you couldn't
Oh,
say.
oh dear. Unadventurous.
Oh, thank you so
Jeez.
much. That's how we might judge ourselves. Guy, do you relate to any of those at all, out of interest?
Um, yeah, I would say sort of stuck. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah, stuck.
yeah, thank you. Justin, could you read number two? Would you mind?
Yeah, just unmuting myself. I kept myself on mute because I can hear Dylan on the phone to my nephew, and I thought, oh no, they're being quite loud.
Oh,
Um, so two others, he's so arrogant, selfish. She's too controlling. Her hair.
yeah, there we go. So do you relate to any of these ones out of interest? Judging
Um,
others?
with the hair, I tend to just love everyone's hair. I'm like, I love your hair. Because my hair doesn't really grow. So anyone who's got really long hair, I'm like, oh, it's so nice. Um, but I have come across some arrogant people, yes. Um, so that would probably be the thing I notice the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
because it's quite apparent when somebody seems to be a bit arrogant.
Yeah, yeah, different things stand out, don't they? Thank you, Justine. How about Marjorie? Would you be happy to read number three, Marjorie, how we judge our circumstances?
Sure. So number three, circumstances. I should own a house abroad, be rich, married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you relate to any of those or not?
Uh, I relate to the I shoulds, so I
Mm.
kind of feel like I should manage my finances better and be less frivolous, but I'm not.
Yeah, so
So,
yeah, thank you. So that would be judging your circumstances around your finances, I guess. So
yes.
yeah, so thank you for calling out the should as well, because that's typical judge language, as we know. Whenever
Mm.
we should or they should, then we're in judgment. So thanks for that. I'll go back to the bigger screen. So what have we got here? You can't see the right side, can you? Because I can't. Can you
Well,
not see the whole screen?
I can.
Oh, you can. Can you
Yeah.
see the whole screen? Oh, that's brilliant. I can't. Let me move this over a bit.
But
That's
not everyone else. I think they should be able to.
yeah, I'm just going to move this thing down to the bottom so I can see everything. Oh, sorry, hang on. There we go. I can move that down to the bottom. Yeah, that's better. So, right. So this is about judging versus discerning. And we've talked about how when we're in judgment, well, what's the difference? Are you guys clear on the difference between judging something and discerning? You know, the sage discernment, noticing that something's not right.
Crystal clear.
Tell us, Guy.
Well, judging is one thing. We know about judging. I don't need to say anything about judging, but discerning is about choice. You are to be discerning is to make choices about things, isn't it?
Yes, it
You
is.
discern. You decide whether you stop and talk to this person or whether you go to a certain place or whether you do one thing one day and another. You're discerning. You're making active choices rather
Yes.
than criticizing. It's making choices.
Thank you. And it's making choices from a place of feeling okay. When we're judging, we're usually feeling irritated, tetchy, annoyed, by the situation. So when we're making choices, yeah, we're making choices. We're choosing what we want. And the reason that I've put nothing's wrong here is because often when we judge something, we're judging it as wrong, aren't we? It shouldn't be like that. It should be this way. It shouldn't be that way. And when we've made something wrong, it feels uncomfortable. That's when the saboteurs kick in because we're sitting in wrongness. And the way to neutralize being in the context of something's wrong, feeling that something's wrong, is to choose to stay in nothing's wrong with something being wrong. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we
Yeah.
make it wrong that something's wrong. Sorry, there's somebody coming in. I'll just have to do this quickly. I think it's your sister. Um, sorry, Sharon. Here we are. So yeah, so when we're feeling something's wrong, there's nothing wrong in that. And that's it seems a little bit complex to tell ourselves, well, I feel like something's wrong, But if the next thing that we tell ourselves is nothing's wrong with something being wrong, do you see how it totally neutralizes us feeling that something's wrong? Because, yeah, something's wrong and it's okay. So, this is just a little subtle twist and a little way that we can neutralize again that judgment, you know. So, even if we are noticing something that we think ought to be different, and we're starting to feel irritated, we don't even have to make that wrong. We can just quickly catch that we're judging, do our celebration, and then move on from a neutral place, because it's quite difficult to make choices from a place of judgment. They won't be the best choices. Um, so yeah, we're meaning making machines. When we're judging something, we're making meaning of something that is not necessarily true. And lots of the meaning that we make comes literally from our imagination. It's just only our perspective. We're not necessarily thinking about somebody else's perspective. We're generally thinking about our own perspective, you know, our own opinion when we're making something mean something. And we're often really desperately searching for understanding, because when we judge something and we make something wrong, and this is all in the context of change, you know, how we want to change some aspect of our lives, it just doesn't feel right. So we start to try and make right what we've made wrong. And this is often untrue. It's not factual. We make up stories about things all the time. Classic example is when somebody hasn't texted us back in a relationship situation, you know, something like that, or where it's important to us. And we can make up stories and reasons about why that person hasn't got back to us. You know, it can trigger all sorts of things in us, but actually, we have no idea, you know, why that person hasn't got back to us. They could have been busy, they could have tried, you know, all sorts of things, but we kind of make meaning of situations because we're not comfortable to sit in what's wrong. And that's why it's important to know how to neutralize there's something wrong, because all of that time that we spend in wrongness is our life unhappy. Whereas when we feel actually everything's okay, even if something's not right, then it means that we're dwelling much more in a sense of ease and calm and happiness, which is what it is to have a high PQ, a high positive intelligence. That's when our mind is working for us rather than against us. So, yeah, this is just a reminder that when we're triggered, we're in judge mode. This is where our saboteurs come in and they try and make something right out of what's wrong. So the controller will be, oh, well, something's wrong. Let me see what I can make happen to make it right. The hyperachiever, oh, something's wrong. I haven't achieved enough. Let me try harder. Let me work harder. Let me not celebrate where I'm at now, but let me think of the future and do my best to get this change going now. The restless will be something's wrong. Oh dear. I feel uncomfortable. I can't deal with these feelings. Oh, what's that over there? I'll just go off and do something else. So that's how the restless would respond. The stickler, something's wrong. How can I make this perfect? Spending lots of time making things perfect. The pleaser, something's wrong. Oh dear, people aren't happy. How can I make them happy? You know, regardless of what's right, you know, what needs to happen. I'm not willing to tell them the truth, the hard truth. As a pleaser, people don't want to upset people. So all of these saboteurs have their own way of responding to what's wrong in response to change. You know, the hyper vigilant, oh my God, something's wrong. Something bad's going to happen. Oh dear, I can see all these awful outcomes. You know, the avoider, something's wrong. Oh, well, I can't deal with that now. You know, I'm just not going to look at it. And then we've got the victim, something's wrong. Oh, yes, typical, you know, something wrong. It's always me. It always happens to me. Oh dear, let me just dwell in how bad I feel about this and not do anything about it, because now I feel awful because I'm dwelling in this awful thing that's happened again. And the hypervigilant, you know, well, I need more data. Let me find more data. Let me push these emotions aside and get really rigid about the situation and find more data. Whereas usually, when there's something we're judging something as being wrong, and even if we've got ourselves out of that judgment and we're in discernment, we need our intuition, we need our creative brain, we need to intuit sometimes what needs to happen. There are so many more possible outcomes when we're working with our right brain than there are with the left, logical, rational, data-driven side of our brain. So the hypervigilant is going to reject that intuitive aspect of ourselves. So that's just a little reminder of the saboteurs. So when we're feeling negative emotions about what's not changing in our lives, we stop, we realize that we're in saboteur mode, and then we celebrate. So we celebrate, we do those PQ reps to quieten those saboteurs and activate our sage brain. And then we assume that sage perspective that sounds really corny, but it can be so empowering when we're in a bad situation or a situation that we've judged as, not being what we want it to be. We can realize, yes, there is a gift in this situation, and it really can take us out of that place of being in the wrong place, in a bad place, in a negative neural pathway, because we actually turn it into thinking what could be the gift. Even the thought that there could be a gift is sometimes far from where we're at when we're on a negative neural pathway. And then, of course, we can generate that gift. If we're not sure what is the gift, we can use those sage powers. And can you see the sage powers on the right? Those 5 sage powers. The little light bulb being the innovate power, creativity, the little compass in the middle being the navigate power, looking ahead at the wiser elder self at the end of our life and looking at what's important about the situation. The heart representing empathy. How can we feel empathy for ourselves in our struggles, empathy for anybody else rather than judging them? And the rocket is the activate that we're going to look at a little bit now, because activate is very important when we want to make change, because as we know, change is about taking steps forward, isn't it? One step after the other step. And that's when we get stopped, is when the saboteurs interfere, our head goes off, and we stop doing what we know we need to do in order to make that change happen. So identification is something that's really crucial to this work. Identification is what we have with many of these saboteurs, particularly our top 3. If we've done the saboteur assessment test, we are identified with that saboteur voice, that saboteur neural pathway that we go down. We're so used to that being activated in us that we've lost the line that separates who we truly are, our true self, with that saboteur behavior. So it's very important to start to see ourselves as the person that has attained the goal that we want to attain. So is anybody willing to share somebody that they want to be, who's attained their goal, whatever that may be, in terms of what they want to change? If you're not, then I can share something. But I just wondered, is anybody willing to share what they want to achieve? Could be anything. Justine, yes, great.
I put my finger up. That's what we do at work on Teams meetings. So sorry, I'm not trying to be a
Great.
child. Just,
No, that's great. Thank you.
You mentioned a book, and yes, I started trying to write a book quite a while ago now, years to be exact, and I kind of get stuck a lot, and then my perfectionism comes in, and I'm like, and I have a friend who's a published author, and I'm just so proud of how how well she's done, and she's got quite a few published books, and I think that aspect of her success is what I would like to identify with and actually finish the book, even if I never get published. Just finish it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Same for me. I'm wanting to complete the books as well. So yeah, thanks. Does anyone else like to share theirs, or should we use Justine's example?
Don't get me started. I would love to finish my book on the pandemic that I did here.
Ah, yeah. Thanks. Another one.
And there's that and there's about 12 others I need to get done, finished
Yeah.
in book form.
Book form.
This is
Lovely.
photographs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guy. I'd just like to say I just saw Diane. Diane, you weren't in my screen. So hello. I can't see you now, but I'm sure the pictures might swap in a minute. It's nice to see you, by the way, when I did see you. Thanks, Guy. Thanks, Justine. So exactly. So if we're identifying with someone who's not winning, who hasn't written the book yet or completed the book, that's going to have a huge impact on the action that we take. It's like saying if you identify as a smoker who's trying to give up smoking, it's difficult because you're trying not to be something that you are. If you identify as a non-smoker, it's easier because a non-smoker doesn't smoke. So it's very subtle. So, in the example of being a published author, we need to identify with being someone who has published a book, who is that published author, because that's our potential. And fulfilling our potential would be us sitting there with the book in our hand, with our name on it, completed, published, etc. So that's how we manifest stuff from our uh, the world of causes, if you like, into our world of effects, isn't it? Because all these causes, all of these ideas, all of these thoughts we have, they live in what lots of people call these days the quantum field, don't they? There's this quantum field. Lots of people talk about different timelines, when we're a actress or a singer or a writer or a mother or a whatever it is, all of these different timelines are available to us, many, 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 many. We can have so many ideas because we could be many, 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 many things in life while we're alive and we have choices. We could be so many things. And it's actually up to us, to quite a high degree, what we choose to manifest and who we choose to be. So I wanted to bring in the importance of identity here because when we are experiencing negative emotion, then we're judging ourselves, we're judging our circumstances. If we start to go down that neural pathway, then we're not identifying with the winner, are we? We're not thinking, I am the one who's won, I'm the one who's achieved this goal. Therefore, this is the action that I take. I am a non-smoker, therefore I do not pick up a cigarette and light it because I'm not a smoker. I am a published author and I'm a busy author and a successful author. Therefore, I sit down and I write because that's what an author does. It's who I am. And it's very subtle. And the reason I'm sharing this is because once we've removed or we know how to remove those saboteurs, we have a space to play with. And that's when we can start building a new identity, literally a new identity, which brings in so much fear and so much resistance because to the survival brain, it's new, it's dangerous, it's not known. So it's dangerous. Potentially we could die. That's the root of it, really, isn't it? I survived before, I wasn't a published author. I'm alive. Now I'm doing this new work that feels really different. It's just difficult. So who do you identify with? Who do you think you are? So we have to stop going down that negative neural pathway. And when we celebrate for 10 seconds. Guys, let's just do it now. Let's celebrate for 10 seconds. If you have to sit down, and don't worry, but I'm going to jump up and down for 10 seconds. Let's just do it, okay? 3, 2, 1. Yoo-hoo! Hey, hooray! 7, 6,
Hey,
5,
hey.
3, 2, and 1.
Whoa.
We go. So, because we unconditionally celebrate, we're training our brain, our life to flood with dopamine whenever we choose. We activate our sage brain, we pick ourselves up and we feel better. And this is the way that we can start to really live and dwell in happiness because we're choosing not to go down those old boring pathways. So we have to stop and we have to think about, who am I identifying with, you know? So by going down those negative pathways, when we're blocked, when we're stuck, you know, when we're not doing what we want to do, we're actually keeping our hand on the hot stove, you know. And are you keeping your hand on the hot stove by staying in negative emotion? You know, when you start to feel the heat, what kind of person are you? Do you say to yourself, well, I'm the kind of person who removes their hand from the hot stove? You know, I'm the kind of person who chooses not to dwell in negativity. And it's really a choice that we can start to make and start to build new neural pathways towards being the kind of person who has a high PQ. You know, these PQ reps that we do really, really work. If we do them consistently throughout the day, we constantly are bringing ourselves up into a higher state where we can be powerful and happy and determined to make choices that are going to change our lives. And we have to keep stopping and reminding ourselves, what kind of person am I? You know, I can choose. I'm the kind of person who XXX. I'm the kind of person who da 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 da. And it's not difficult when we have activated our sage to make these choices. It's very difficult when it's a push and we haven't activated our sage and we haven't done a PQ rep and we're dwelling in negativity and then we try and become the sort of person that we're not, you know? So this whole identity thing, what kind of person am I, is really important to choose. So, Sharon, are you happy to read this slide, please? Oh, I think you're on mute again, Sharon. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. What kind of person are you? I'm the kind of person who chooses not to stay in a negative emotion, stops for a PQ rep break whenever I need to, knows what's charging my PQ brain, brings me to a neutral place, can create positive momentum from a neutral place, knows that stopping and pivoting will save me time.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Sharon. And what often happens is when we know we need to stop, the saboteurs have taken over and we tell ourselves, I haven't got time for that. You know, I haven't got time to hold my hand on my chest and put my hand on my stomach and sit down and breathe for 2 minutes. I mean, how crazy is that? That we tell ourselves we haven't got time to stop for 2 minutes or 5 minutes. I've been doing 12-minute PQ rep breaks recently, and honestly, they are so amazing. 10, 12 minutes really charges up the PQ brain so much that it lasts for hours and hours and hours. You will not experience negativity for hours when you spend time charging up your PQ brain with some of these exercises. It's incredible how the momentum keeps flipping over, and you'll really notice when you don't allow yourself to stop for a PQ rep break. You'll start to feel lacking in energy. You'll start to feel irritated. You just won't feel good. And that's great. There's nothing wrong in that. That's really good because you know the difference. You're experiencing what it is to live life in that place of saboteur, holding the reins of your life, your actions, your thoughts, your decisions, your emotions, and your sage brain holding the reins of your actions, your emotions, your decisions. It's completely different night and day. So it's very important to be the kind of person that activates their sage brain in the context of change. And then you can see in the image, there are nice faces talking to the person. These are nice voices. It's not the saboteur voices. I think there was a picture. Was there one further back? Yes, this one. Can you see these saboteur voices? That's not very nice. So it's the difference between this and this one, which is just much lighter, much easier, nice advice. So even the most positive change, getting a new job that's going to pay you lots of money, a great job that you wanted, even sitting down to make a decision to write a book or complete something that we want to complete, it generates stress because it's different and it's new and it's change. And any change generates stress. So a few things that I've put here that are really important when it comes to change. Number one is to do PQ reps. Whenever you feel that your saboteurs are starting to take over. And another one here is creating evidence. So it's really important that we look at evidence, so Justine and me and Guy, I'll just use us today for this example because we've all shared that there are books that we want to complete. So we need to look at what we've written already, get the pages out, look at it, get the photographs out, the book, look at the book and look at the great work that we've already done, from a sage perspective, because that's evidence that I am that kind of person. Look, here is my writing. Here is the beginning of my book. Here are my chapters. So whichever area Marjorie and Diane and Sharon have chosen, there must be evidence to show that you are the kind of person that's winning in this area. So collect evidence and look at the evidence because that will help you form a bond and a connection with your identity. This new identity that we want to bring in to our world that makes it easier. Because if you're the kind of person that does what you want to do, it's easy. You just do it. So this is all about maintaining. How can we maintain that change? It's all very well getting started, but carrying on and continuing is difficult because it means that we have to change into a different kind of person. So is there anything that anybody would like to share here about how do they find that maintaining, sustaining positive change? How do you guys get interrupted? I'm interested to know. And how do you justify that? If anyone would like to
I
share.
think for me, Marimba, I tend to get interrupted with life circumstances, with family and sometimes work, which is just natural, definitely natural, but it's how you pace it. And because I have recognized the triggers and the areas where it tends to get a bit tensed, I don't know when it's going to happen. That's the wonderful thing. If you did, you'd be able to maintain it to a degree, but you just don't know when it's going to happen. So when life circumstances throw you in the mix, I tend to just be still. I'm a great stillness believer. And with the stillness, I can identify my saboteurs taking over because I'm a controller. I try to control a lot of things because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So high achiever, I'm all on that kind of caliber. So I recognize it with the help of obviously your resources as well. So when that happens, I admit to myself that's enough. It's just enough. I can't cope with so many things coming at me anymore. I used to be able to do it, but I can't do it anymore. I choose not to do it anymore, more to the point. So that's when I create the stillness and I just say that's enough. So I look at work, which is very important. It's not more important than family. It's just being able to get that balance because I spend most of my time there. So during the day, I'm there every day of the week. So I look at if I need it to delegate some out or if I need to speak to my manager so I can get that kind of in some form of order. And then when it comes to the family situation, I either reach out for help a little bit more or I say that no, I'm unable to do that correctly right now. So I I be still. I just literally still, I write a lot. I write down what needs to be done. I put it in categories to be able to manage it effectively. And I think because I'm a coach as well, I tend to be, I have those skills to be able to do that. Um, and I'm true to myself with it than what I was before.
Mm.
Um, which I think a lot of it is just admitting what you can handle from what you can't handle, what you can manage and from what you can't. And then as well, it's what you choose to manage, what you don't choose to manage.
Yeah.
Very difficult when you have young families. It's very difficult when you have commitments. It's very difficult if you're, caring for someone. But it's just a man to be able to just stop for a little bit and pause. That's my favorite word. I just pause for a moment. It could be half an hour, it could be an hour, it could be locking yourself up in the bathroom if you're a mother that juggles around. It could be just going out, saying you're going to take a walk, but you're actually sitting in your car. It doesn't matter what you do as
Yeah.
long as you take yourself away from that situation. And that's what I've learned to be able to do that. And then I can move on and be effective for others, also for myself.
Thank you so much, Diane. That's really interesting. And I can hear by your voice and the way you shared that you've done this, you've embodied
Yeah.
this, and that's how you live your life because stopping is exactly what we need to do, isn't it? It's stop. That I think that's the key point that you made. Pause, stop, and then get back on the
Reevaluate.
horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And know that you can't do everything. You don't want to do everything. And you might need to ask for help. You might need to delegate. You might need to take yourself away, well, you definitely will, from the situation that's at hand. So I really like that because what you've shared just then, you t it to me, I hear you say you've created a neutral space, haven't you? You haven't gone down, oh, I can't do this. Oh, it's not working. Oh, I'm going to get stressed. It's like, no, no, stop, pause, create that neutral space from which I can then, you know,
Mm.
think about the change, write it down and not avoid it, but take it on board. So thank you so much. Yeah. Ma-
Okay. Mhm.
Maintaining positive change. It's hard, isn't it? Because
It's not easy at all. It's very, very difficult. Um, but platforms like this one, and if you've got another positive friend that you can share it with, that can support you with it, but it's not easy. And sometimes you do slip back
yeah,
very easily. You think, yeah, I can handle it all, I can do it.
yeah,
And that's when you say, no, I don't
yeah.
like it. I don't like it.
Absolutely, when we do. And yeah, thank you so much. Marjorie, did you want to share something?
Yeah, I think that picking up on some of those points, I think it's really important to recognize. So, this is the thing that I find is that sometimes it's other people that overwhelm you. So, if you're on demand and there are some people that you have to actually be there for, it's important to recognize when that is taking a toll and kind of drawing a boundary, which is okay, you know what, I need to check out for a little while. So we need to have a conversation about I'm not available for a little while, and then I, I'll be back. So there's a reassurance that I'll be back, but
Yeah,
it's almost like self-preservation, and like I have to recharge and have the time to be able to regroup and re-energize and all of that, because it can be when you are on demand, it can be really quite draining. And I think it's really important that you acknowledge that it isn't always you that is kind of beating yourself up. Sometimes it is like all of the demands that are being made of you, and sometimes you do just need to take the time out to regroup.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you, Marge. Absolutely, especially when it's family and
yeah,
especially when, we're maybe nurturers or mothers or whatever we are. We're mostly women here. I know guys here as well.
yeah.
That can be a real tendency with family to just give, give, give because we want to. So thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. And again, I like what you shared about telling people that I may not be available. because that's a step, isn't it? It's not getting the hump and leaving the house and slamming the door. I need some time. Is it?
Right.
It's taking a sage approach, a discerning approach. This is not working. I'm becoming depleted and drained. I need to do something about it. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to please them by doing more and getting more resentful and drained. I'm going to say, I need some time. I'm not going to be available. Take myself away. So those are the things that we can do. And I love that because it lets other people know what your needs are. It's the opposite to pleasing. What would
Yeah.
please me? So we're going to have a look at that. Thanks. That leads on to some more of these saboteurs that I wanted to look at. So yeah, we've talked about why it's difficult to maintain these new habits is because we know what to do. We've got the insight. We know what we want. We don't build the habits, and the habits are stopping, activating ourselves in whichever way we do it, ideally with some PQ reps in this context, because it really does charge us up. And then we can lay down these new neural pathways, forming these new habits through the consistent practice. It's not difficult if we do it consistently. It just becomes our go-to. And I've put that's what the PQ program empowers you to do, just to remind you guys that there is this 7-week course that will build a foundation for this new life where you can just take a bit of a turn and start going in this direction, which is towards what you want to happen in life. So yeah, we've got the 20% insight and we've got the 80% muscle. We have the insight, we want to write the book, we want to complete this project, we want to do X, Y, Z. Then we have to build the muscle. Every time we get stopped, we need to do something about it, get stronger, mental muscles, positive intelligence, make the choices, sage brain activation, and then use those sage powers in this context to get us on that track. And just to share as well something from, I suppose, a spiritual point of view, from I've read a lot about the Buddhist way of looking at transformation is when we do take on a new goal, it's healthy and appropriate for us to be stopped. Absolutely 100%. We want to expect expect to be stopped. And they say in the Buddhist tradition that the wise people will rejoice that these obstacles are coming to stop them because then they know they're on the right track. And the foolish people who don't understand that when we go for a big goal, that's when the obstacles come because we need to get stronger. If we were strong enough, we would have already achieved our goal. So we're not yet strong enough to achieve the goal. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a goal out there. It would be a goal achieved. So in order to get stronger, we actually need those obstacles coming so that we can transform them, become stronger, and then become even more the kind of person that attains our goal. So it's a nice way to look at obstacles and things coming to stop us, to actually say, I'm going to rejoice. I'm going to rejoice here because this has come to stop me. Yep, I must be on the right path, and not see it as just an annoying interruption. So, who's that in the background, Justine?
It's Hope and Dylan.
Oh,
I think they both wanted to listen, but Dylan kept
oh,
whispering at me.
oh, they're welcome. Hello, Hope. Hello, Dylan. Oh, hello. Great to see them. Wow, they've grown. Lovely.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. Oh, I love children. Okay, brilliant. So, yeah, let's do some 10-second PQ reps. We've only got 5 minutes left, and there's a last bit of information that I want to share with you. So, just 10 seconds. We'll just breathe in, close our eyes, breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose, and just noticing the gentle rise and fall of the chest and stomach, and letting any thoughts go. Focusing our attention on the breath. So thank you, thank you. So that's just 10 seconds, so you can take in this last bit of information. So how do these 3 saboteurs sabotage change? We've got the pleaser, the stickler, the perfectionist, and the restless. The stickler sabotages change by... Guy, would you read this, please? Do you mind?
No.
Thank you.
How does the stickler sabotage change? Not enough attention on the inspiring big picture. Lost in the weeds, spends too much time on detail. Thinks 80% needs to be perfect. Wastes a lot of time. Too rigid and micromanaging about how to achieve the outcome. And finally, resists change as it interferes with established order and causes anxiety.
Thank you, Guy. So, in a nutshell, I think that's pretty clear, isn't it? The stickler. Then we're going to go on to looking at the pleaser. So, Diane, would you be happy to read this one, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
How does the pleaser sabotage change? Doesn't maintain strong boundaries with others, leads to resentment and exhaustion, shies away from communication, the tough elements or sacrifices, shy away from bold vision for change. Having a bold vision makes some people unhappy. They are threatened.
Yes, so this is all when the pleaser, thank you, Diane, is thinking about how to make things right for everybody else. You know, I'm not going to tell them that it might be difficult. I'm not going to share my big vision because it might rock the boat. Yes, it will rock the boat, and that's okay. People are rocked when change is brought into the mix. So yeah, it's normal to expect to have opposition and resistance when there's change. It will come from within, it will come from without, it will come 100%. So we can choose to rejoice and celebrate when the opposition and the obstacles come. So the restless. Marge, are you happy to read this one? How does the restless, please?
Yes. So, how does the restless sabotage change? Doesn't maintain steady and continuous focus on change until it gets firmly established, moves on too fast, is impatient about seeing results, and doesn't maintain focus.
Thank you. So yeah, the restless is just off. As soon as it gets difficult, they can't deal with it and they're off to do something else. And change takes time to get firmly established. And once it is firmly established, like these new neural pathways, once they are firmly established from putting the work in, which the restless doesn't want to do, that's when things become easier. So we have to put the work in to start with to get that foundation, to get the ball rolling, and then it starts to become easier. But the restless doesn't get that far because it's all too much and they're off to the next shiny object. So these are the sage steps for each of these three saboteurs, looking at how do they get in the way of change. You know, the stickler, the perfectionist, does it need to be perfect? You know, 80% of stuff is good enough. The pleaser, instead of changing what they want to share, what they want to do to suit other people, really asking, you know, what would please me? This is for good people. This is not for evil psychopaths. Because evil psychopaths, what will please them will not be a good thing. I always say that because it's true. You know, I'm a good person. What will please me is generally going to be good for other people because I want good for other people, you know. So you have to think about that when it's what would please me. But yeah, generally, what would please me? It's not selfish. If you're not the selfish type, please think about what would please you and do it because if it's really right for you, it will be really right for other people. And the restless, this is a brilliant one. I've used this myself when I notice, oh, I've got to type this up. And I think, oh, just go and have a cup of tea. Like, remember, stop. Just stop, you know, do a PQ rep on this first before you have your cup of tea. So I'll literally do a PQ rep on the thing that's right in front of me, and it will stop me from running off to the next shiny object and my kettle and my cup of tea and distracting myself. Um, so the examples of saboteur confusion with these three in particular. Sharon, would you like to read these ones, please?
Okay, examples of saboteur confusion. Pleaser mistakes approval for self-worth and authentic connection. Stickler mistakes perfection for self-worth and acceptance. Restless, mistake, stimulation for fulfillment and purpose.
Thank you very much. And if you notice, there are two of these that are about self-worth. You know, the pleaser wants to feel good and wants to have that self-worth. That's why they rely on validation from people outside. The stickler wants to be loved, wants to be approved of, wants to be given compliments, you know, wants to be told that they're good or they've done a good job. This is where the perfection comes in. And that gives them a sense of self-worth and acceptance. But actually, it's not all about doing things perfectly and getting, again, validation from outside. And the restless, yes, mistakes, this spontaneity and this stimulation. Yeah, I'm really good at getting up and doing different things, but it's not ultimately fulfilling because the restless, you know, we never get to complete the change. So, how do you lead change in your own life? A little bit every day. 1% improvement in a day adds up to 3,700% improvement in a year. So just a little bit every day is great. And using the sage powers, just to finish with a couple of those 5 sage powers, the rocket, the activate, establish a cadence, establish a rhythm of continuous action. So small and steady steps add up. So do those PQ reps, take some action and celebrate. You know, do more PQ reps, take an action and celebrate and get into that habit. And it becomes very easy. The innovate sage power, finding new ways to do the old things that would be a better fit with the change. So if you're a bit stuck, play the yes and the innovate game, you know. Throw out an idea to yourself that you could do that will make it more interesting, more exciting. And what do I like about that idea? Add another idea. Really open up these innovation doors to different ways of looking at what we want to achieve so we can make things easier. And I think that's it for now. So I'm away next week, going to visit Guy in Barcelona and then and my family. But there's another session on the 24th, and I'd love to know, guys, please, thank you so much for your attention and your time. What's been your nugget again? What's been helpful and valuable for you from our session today, please? If you could share, that would be a really nice way to end. So we all take something away from this time we've spent together.
I think for me, it's been about just taking time out to rest and be still. I've always got a lot on. I'm always doing a lot. But for some reason last week, I was doing a lot of PQ reps during the day. And it was really helping me to become a lot more productive. So from our session today about taking time out, I can guarantee that it definitely works for me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sharon, for sharing.
So I think that it's one of the big things for me was about choosing change and how powerful it is to actually think that, like, the first step is choosing, right?
Yeah.
And so you can, if you feel stuck, then you can choose to stay stuck or you can choose to change. And the first step is to actually do that. So
Nice.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, brilliant.
Well done.
Thank you.
For me, Miranda, I'm grateful that I jumped on. Apologies. I know it's at the end that I came in a little bit late. However, for me, it just it reinforces that I'm actually on track, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that. Yeah, I'm very proud of myself. It's a long time coming, but it was out of my control, and I accept that now instead of beating myself up. And yeah, I'm on track, and this just reinforces me and gives me even more motivation, encouragement, uplifting. So I thank you.
Thank you, Diane. So happy to hear that you're proud of yourself. Oh, couldn't
Yes,
help
I am.
celebrating that. I love it to hear when people are proud of themselves. It's great. Yeah, thank you.
having problems articulating myself, but the very fact that this is the second or third week in a row on a Sunday at this time, the coming together, I think is vital. There's a thing in Chinese Tai Chi which we call I Gung, which is working together, which is extremely powerful, and I'm finding it extremely refreshing, to be honest. Extremely refreshing. And it's another hour, another reminder. In my case, I know that I need reminding. I feel we all need reminding, because during the week I find that it peters off. The saboteurs come back in. They start getting a footing. I know that after this session I will be decidedly more chilled. So that's positive in itself. It's a positive change in the right direction.
Thanks, Guy. That's brilliant. So you're gaining momentum, and congratulations to you for coming 3 weeks in a row and starting to build this pathway towards positive change. Love it.
I think it's yeah. So thank you.
So,
Thank everybody. There you go.
I think we've just got
Trying to unmute.
Justine. Yay.
Sorry. For me, I like the looking at evidence. So creating or finding the evidence that's already in existence for the thing that you're aiming for and sabotaging yourself against. Because when you mentioned it, I thought, yeah, when I look back at things, I think, oh, that was better than I thought it was, or something like that. So for me, I think that'll be really helpful, and I'll make sure that I'm more mindful of doing that anytime I sort of stall myself with, or make excuses like, oh, I'm too busy, or, I'm too tired after work or whatever. Then it's, I think I'll make sure that it will get me back on track with actually carrying on with it.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Yeah, I learned that from my business mentor coach about finding evidence. And yeah, Michael McIntosh is amazing, actually. It's really important looking at evidence. We've gone a little bit over. I'll share my nugget quickly. What's been valuable for me today, I think, is the momentum of all of us being here together and talking about winning and talking about how we're going to overcome these things, because the more we talk about it and the more we unpack it, the more it will be there as an energetic almost reminder, so that when I'm not with you guys and I'm here and the computer's down and I've got to get on with my life, it's reinforcing basically that we can choose, stop, find this neutral space, celebrate, find the evidence, know that there's another Sunday coming up. We can get together, we can use this group and other mentors to help us. So it's been that really the reinforcing for me, the reinforcing of the importance of taking responsibility for our own transformation. That's what it's been. And knowing that we can take responsibility 100% for our own transformation. And that is, for me, sharing all of us together how we're going to activate our potential. So when I look at you guys on the screen and myself too, I see you're totally capable of doing whatever it is that you want to do. I know you are, and I see that you've done it. And I look at you as people who've succeeded, in that thing. So that's really good and well done, because you have succeeded. It's already done somewhere. It's just about catching up now, isn't it? So thanks so much. I'll leave it there. And 24th, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, hopefully you might come. Mwah. Love you guys and see you later.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Have a lovely week off.
Bye.
Bye.